Hey folks, welcome back to the Workplace Innovator podcast. It's me, your host, Mike P., with you today and excited to introduce you to a first-time visitor to this podcast, someone I met not too long ago in the virtual world via LinkedIn, but someone who has been a listener of this little podcast for quite a while. So let's welcome him. He is joining us today from Frankfurt, Germany, and he is a global workplace leader, the senior manager of global workplace strategy, to be specific. And his name is Dr. Hassan Shaikh. Hassan, welcome to the Workplace Innovator podcast.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for having me.
How'd I do with the name?
Perfect. You got it spot on, actually. It's really good.
Well, I was thinking about a milkshake. Maybe after this, I'll treat myself to
exactly.
a little vanilla milkshake.
That's exactly how I tell people how to pronounce my surname anyway. Shake like milkshake.
I love it. I love it. And you have a PhD. I called you doctor for a reason. What is your PhD in?
So I've done a doctorate in design, and basically in that PhD, I created a new workplace model, and it's such an unsexy academic name. It's called polycontextual workplaces, but I'm actually changing it into a book at the moment.
Wow.
And I'm calling the book the Ubuntu Workplace. Obviously, you can hear from my accent, I'm South African, and Ubuntu is something really important in our culture in South Africa. And that's what the book and the workplace thinking is based on. The concept of
Excellent.
Ubuntu is I am because we are. And I think that's such a beautiful concept to think about the workplace in.
Yeah, well, we'll make it sexy, Hassan. We'll do our best here on this show. We'll put a little theme music to it, and we'll talk about your role as a workplace and real estate leader for a global organization. And we also will talk about the ways we know each other, kind of, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon via LinkedIn, that whole thing. We all know each other in this world of facility management, workplace, and real estate. And you're a South African living in Germany. I know many people in your part of the world, but tell us how you ended up there. What brought you to Frankfurt?
So it's actually an interesting story. I ran a business in South Africa for 10 years doing workplace consultancy. And I wanted to do my PhD, and then contacted the university that I did my master's at. And they were like, yeah, cool, we can facilitate you. And then literally a couple of weeks later, I got headhunted to come to Germany. So it was like a divine intervention, if you want to call it that.
Nice. Okay. And you got to love the music in Germany. I got to bring that up right away.
Yes.
Hassan, what are you listening to? Is there an artist that's either based there or played there a lot that we can kind of talk about?
Yeah, Mike, it's so interesting. Like, I know this is one of the questions that you normally ask, and I'm a huge hip hop head. I think that's a lot of where my energy comes from. I grew up listening to like Tupac and Biggie and Jay-Z, and more recently, like Loyal Kana. So I think there's something about the storytelling and the honesty and the hunger in the music that pushes me creatively. Like with Biggie specifically, there's a song that he has called "Juicy." I'm sure you know of it. And that song,
Yes,
it's not because of the words themselves, but it's because of what the song represents. And it's about that feeling of coming from very little, being doubted, and then turning your life and something and purpose into something bigger than you expected. And I like that, thinking about rising above your circumstances and rewriting the narrative. So for me, hip hop is very, very motivational. It's about resilience. And it's also proof that no matter where you start, you can create something with a completely different ending. Actually, I do know some of the words to the song "Juicy."
Really? Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I can rap
a
it
little
really
hip hop
badly if you want.
I want to hear your best rapping, Hassan. Do it.
Okay, let's go for it. I'm gonna try.
Do I need to lay down a beat for you?
No. So I could start. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, and every day up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Molly Mall. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. smoking weed and bamboo, sipping on private stock way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke, the ha, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the
Yeah.
limelight 'cause I rhyme tight, time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. Born sinner, the
Oh,
opposite of
no.
the winner. Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? Peace to Ron G, Brucey B, K Capri, Funk Master Flex, Love Bug, Star Ski. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call the crib, same number, same hood. It's all good. And if you don't know, now you know.
Wow.
That was
Hey,
my
that
really
was
bad version of
impressive.
a rap song.
I was going to say, that is a first for the Workplace Innovator podcast. Well done. You got quite a flow going there. Very impressive. And it's all cool, but it's all very inspiring. You're in Germany, I'm here in the States, and hip hop is a global phenomenon. And it's the storytelling, as you said, that is so inspiring for everyone across the world. And that's one of the philosophies of this show. We talk about it a lot, the fact that people are people. And I always put it in the 80s vernacular with the Depeche Mode song. We won't sing that one, everybody, this time. But the idea that we have more in common than not, different cultures, yes, different workplace experiences, different types of organizations, different roles, responsibilities. But I love that we can have something like music, and hip hop brings us together. The other thing I like to do, Hassan, is inspire via quotes. Do you have a favorite motivational quote you could share with us?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure if you know of the TV series in the UK called Doctor Who.
Of course,
Um,
yes.
it's an amazing series, right? It's about this guy who travels through time through like this British police box, which looks like a telephone box, basically. And
Right.
it's the one of the quotes that really I like a lot, and I've actually got it tattooed on my arm. And it says, I am and always will be the optimist, the hoper of far-flung hopes, and the dreamer of the improbable dream." I think it's such a beautiful quote, though.
I love that. Yeah. Nothing but optimism. And you got to believe it if you're going to put it in ink on your arm. So kudos to
Exactly.
you for that. And I hope you're living it out. I'm sure you are. And that's the kind of message we like to share on this show. I love the idea of you and the work you're doing. And we'll get more into your PhD and your future book and the research you've done. But the show, as you know, Hassan, is called Workplace Innovator. And I always wonder what you think of and when you hear me try to inspire my audience to be a workplace innovator here in 2026. What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think like just thinking about my PhD and being a workplace innovator, for me, being innovative in the workplace today means having the guts to admit that a lot of what we've been doing isn't working anymore. So we've spent years polishing the same old models, activity-based working, standardized floor plates, generic personas, and pretending that they're the answer. And if we're honest, the world has changed faster than our workplace has. So innovation for me today means calling that out. It means saying, maybe the problem isn't people coming to the office. Maybe the office wasn't designed for people that we actually have. So it's about moving beyond sort of surface level design solutions and challenging some deeper assumptions about the workplace that we've had for decades. And to me, like maybe there's three things that I can break it down into. So the number one
Sure,
would be
please.
breaking old rules. So not
Okay.
tweaking them, but breaking them. So workplace
Wow.
models built around tasks made sense maybe in another era, but people aren't tasks, people are contexts. And if we don't design for that, we're just decorating the problem. The second one
Hmm.
would be potentially designing for humans, where we've historically overlooked that. I think neurodiverse minds, mixed cultural identities, people with sensory processing needs, people who've had to fit in for far too long. And I think that's one of the things that the workplace didn't support everyone before, and it wasn't that innovative. So it's a bit outdated. And the last one is accepting that efficiency is definitely not innovation. So human
Hmm.
experience is innovation. Belonging is innovation. Workplaces that actually understand people and not flatten them will win. So my research, like with my polyconceptual model, comes from that exact frustration. We need environments that adapt to human complexity, not environments that keep forcing people to shrink themselves into the space. So maybe what does that mean for being an innovator today? It means that you need to be brave enough to disrupt the status quo. It means designing workplaces that could catch up to the realities of the world that we live in today. And it means choosing humanity over habit every single time.
Wow. Choosing to not stick with the status quo. I love that. And that is something that we've discussed here. The philosophy of all you just said aligns so nicely with the message I've tried to communicate on this podcast over these many years. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us and putting it in those terms that really helps us define a direction we should go to be workplace innovators. And you're doing it. Hassan, you're not just a researcher and a thought leader and a future book author, but you're also a practitioner in the world of workplace strategy, and you have thoughts on all of it. So I want to ask you what you're most focused on here as we record this conversation in the spring of 2026. What is top of mind? What are your priorities?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what I would like to focus on, obviously, again, is the human-centered, context-driven approach to workplace decisions. And I think that involves the strategies that we need to ensure the workplace frameworks that we have accommodate a broad spectrum of human needs, work style, cultural context, and specifically because I work for a global organization across global footprints as well. I think that also means within the workplace, to make it successful, is that you need to deepen cross-functional alignment. And that is the integration with IT, HR, communication, sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and leadership. I think prioritizing those strong collaborations actually makes the workplace higher performing and creates a sense of well-being. You retain talent, etc. And I think also maybe ensuring that our solutions that we put in are scalable and data informed, and also very, very importantly, and I'm going to sound very sort of corporate now, financially responsible. I think innovation has to be grounded in practicality. And for me, I think I'm committed to strengthening the use of our insights and behavioral data by delivering workplace solutions, excuse me, that are adaptable and then obviously strategically sound over the regions that we work with and even the business units that we work with.
Oh, what's well said, Hassan. It's something that we can never forget. And we are trying to create those wonderful employee experiences and deliver on what humans need, but in service of the organization that employs us, the corporation or the government or the societal need and the outcomes that we all have to be held accountable to achieve. It's all one big package. It's when it gets out of balance and you're either too focused on tactical, outcomes only and you ignore the people, or if you're too far the other way, we can have the pendulum swing too far where we want to be caring and just make sure everybody has as much flexibility and choice. And I think that's also a potential trap that we discovered during our time in the pandemic and working from home, where everybody wanted everybody to care for themselves. Absolutely. But we almost created an environment of too much lack of leadership, lack of guardrails, and many were left off and fell off, and we didn't even realize they were hurting. So we got to have both at the same time. This kind of, I don't want to use the word hybrid approach. It's not about necessarily hybrids become a word that's used in many contexts, but it's a balanced approach. It's a thoughtful integration of the cross-functional leadership and different departments kind of understanding their roles and responsibilities and strengths. And I think that is so wonderfully reminded here that we can have an impact on it. And that's the thing I hope to do on this podcast, is inspire the facility management, workplace, and corporate real estate industry to step up and share what they know about the physical environment, but also what they've learned about human behavior and understanding the needs of the people and what it takes to thrive in today's workplace. What are your thoughts on that? The role of the FM, the work that you do, the work that my audience is involved with, and trying to stay on top of their game and upskill and be ready for whatever comes next? Where do you think we're going as an industry?
Yeah. Uh, that's it's such a big question, right? But I think that FM and corporate real estate are at a crossroads at the moment. And the uncomfortable truth is, if we don't evolve, we risk becoming irrelevant. I think for too long, these functions have been positioned as support services, and it's invisible, and until something breaks, obviously. But the workplace has changed that. Expectations have changed, the business needs have changed, and what hasn't changed fast enough is how FM and corporate real estate see themselves. So the world of work is now being defined, like you mentioned, by hybrid models, employee experiences, well-being, cultural complexity, etc. And I think many organizations still treat FM like it's 1998 as the team that just keeps things running,
Right. Right. Yes.
So for me, how I see this role evolving is that we move. I think, like, if I have to break it down into 3 points, which is like I like working in numbers. It makes my brain makes it make sense.
You're very organized, Hassan. I like this because I'm all over the place. DJ Mike P likes to go everywhere, and you like to keep it in a nice framework aligned with bullet points visually. I can see them.
I'm like picturing it in my head at the moment.
It's great. It's great.
So maybe the first one would be that we move from fixers of buildings to architects of organizational performance. I think leaders are finally realizing that workplaces are not neutral. They are either to elevate people and not to, they're made to elevate people and not to deplete them, right? So obviously we have the responsibility now and the influence to influence productivity, belonging, retention, culture. It's a massive shift from fixers of buildings to architects of organizational performance. The second one, I think, is that we need to move from behind the scenes operators to strategic influencers. And I think if facilities management and corporate real estate are not at the table with HR, IT, and C-suite, decisions made about the workplace are made without people who understand it best. And I think the last one is managing square meters, moving from that thinking about managing square meters to managing human needs. I think the next workplace evolution isn't about space efficiency. I mean, we love the space efficiency stuff, right? It's about creating environments that support mental health, neurodiversity, identity, cultural differences, real behavioral patterns, and not genetic personas. I really don't like personas, by the way. It's not something that sits well with me. But I think if you want to maximize your value, we need to stop thinking in terms of spaces and start thinking in terms of people.
I agree. That's very well said. And I think it's something that we can all do better with. It's easy to get kind of focused on what we do and what our particular area expertise, our role, responsibility is. And it's important, and we always have to remind ourselves to look at that holistic view of the workplace and the other elements going on, and then leaning on each other and collaborate across departments, as you've already mentioned, and then look at the research and understand what human behavior is all about. And you're doing that, and you're on this journey to continue sharing a lot of expertise. I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about that. We have your website here. I want to leave a link in the show notes, everybody, for you to have a chance to follow Hassan's journey. It's actually HassanShaikh.org. We'll put that in the show notes. But I'm looking at all your sharing here, and you say there might be a book coming. I don't want to pre-sell it too early, but tie together, just in summary, what people would find if they follow you on LinkedIn and look at your website.
Yeah, I think it's basically about, and I don't like the word, the future of work, but it's basically the future of work and what it could be. I think we are living through one of the biggest shifts in human work, how humans work at the moment, how we connect, how we belong, and how we play a part in shaping what comes next. And I think, like, a lot of my work and my thinking is about that workplaces do transform with the insertion of technology, but they also transform because people are willing to imagine something better. something that they can take small, consistent steps with that make it real. And, whether you're in FM or corporate real estate or HR or IT or design leadership or anywhere in between, I think people have more influence than they think. Every conversation, every data point, every adjustment to the space, every moment of empathy, those are the things that shapes how the experience of someone who will experience a workplace will walk through those doors, for talent attraction and retention. So my biggest encouragement in this is, I think people need to be curious, be brave, ask better questions, change all assumptions, and above all, design with humanity at the center, because the future of work isn't just about buildings or policies or tools. It's actually about people, real people with stories, identities, challenges, and dreams. And if we build workplaces that honor that complexity, we don't just improve the way that people work, we improve people's lives.
Wow. Dr. Hassan Shaikh, well said and well done. I was going to ask you for a final thought, but I think that's it, right? That is the message that we can all take away from this conversation. And I really am inspired by it. I hope my audience is as well. I want to just thank you so much for sharing some of it with us here on the Workplace Innovator podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It was a pleasure.
And thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the show. I hope you're subscribed on YouTube. If you're just listening to us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, that's great too. We really hope that we are providing some valuable content and a little fun. How many other podcasts in the world of workplace and real estate and facility management features the guest rapping to a hip hop song? It just doesn't happen anywhere else, everybody. So if you found anything interesting in this conversation, please do me a favor and share this podcast with a colleague or a friend, anyone who might like to join us as we continue on our journey to encourage and inspire you to be a workplace innovator. Peace out, everybody.